Hey, dude.
What's up, man? How you doing?
How are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What is that accent?
That is Australian, mate.
Yeah, I've had at least like 5 or 10 Australian coaches or whatever you want to call them. So that's just funny.
Yeah,
Okay, man. So let's just kick it off. Like, what brings you here, sir?
yeah. I've actually had a coaching from you before once.
Okay.
Um,
How
yeah.
long
So,
ago was that?
uh, like I don't know, maybe a few months ago, sort of
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Um. So I'm just looking for more like tips and tricks and just things that you can obviously tell me to improve. Like,
So I'll probably end up recognizing things eventually, and I apologize. It's kind of hard to keep track of everybody. So what did I
that's
like?
all
Give me the synopsis of what happened last time.
right. We just went through a few replays and you broke down Um,
Like,
yeah,
what
I
were
don't
the
know, just my
crucial
gameplay.
issues you felt like you had back then that I
I
hammered
didn't
on?
really know. So like, okay, so last time I was 1.8k,
Okay.
and
Now you're 1K.
yeah, now yeah, exactly. No, now I'm 2.3, I think.
Okay.
So I went up like 500 mmR
That's not bad.
sort of thing. Yeah, yeah, that's all right.
If it's less than
Um,
that, just never mention it. 'Cause
yeah,
I'm trying
okay,
to run a business here.
okay, yeah, all right, nice marketing and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so like obviously, like yeah, like the
What
tips and
role
that
what role do
definitely
you play?
helped. I play position 5.
Okay, so 2.3K position 5 coaching. Is that accurate?
That's exactly
Okay,
accurate.
so I'm going to put that in the title.
I'm not
Um
even really a support. You couldn't even really put support. I'm more of a position 5.
what it would define what why would you say that?
I just mean I rarely even play position 4. You know
Oh,
what I
okay,
mean?
okay, okay,
I,
gotcha,
I
gotcha,
I'm
gotcha.
like a safe laner.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so you only play 5.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean obviously I have, and obviously
Yeah,
I've got
sometimes it happens where you play the roles, but I got you. I got you. Okay, so what like brings you back? Like, do you feel like what happened last time like helped you a lot, or like do you feel like you're now ready to expand upon what we learned last time? Do you want to learn
yeah.
something different? Like, what's
I want to expand. I definitely think the things that I've tried to take everything I've listened to like a rewatched, our coaching session. Like, like my friends laugh at me probably like 2 dozen times, like trying
okay?
to get every little ounce out of it, sort of thing.
I mean,
And I
that's
definitely
that's the
think it's
best way
helped.
to get the value out of it. So
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm just yeah, just saying. I'm hoping that my gameplay has improved, and now rewatching, like watching a new game, I'm hoping that there's going to be new things that you can pick apart and say, you can improve here, do this better. Yeah,
cool. Okay.
yeah,
Then all I'm gonna tell you is because I'm never
hmm
perfect about remembering stuff. If I mention something that was mentioned last time,
yeah.
I'll probably
That's
like
all right.
hash on it, but just tell me that, and then I won't go into as much depth as I normally would because I've already mentioned it. But like, if
Yeah.
it's still a problem, I'm gonna make sure like I bring attention to it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, totally
So,
fine. Totally
okay.
fine. Yeah, just
So
act like I'm a new guy.
yeah, so if you like if I've already explained something to you, feel free to like be like we talked about this last time. I'll be like, okay, it's still a problem. Here it is. Okay.
Shut up,
So
Brian.
do you have yeah, shut up. Do you have the replay ID?
Yeah, I do. I'm actually prepared this time. Last time I just finished the game and I said, all right, so I'll send it to you on Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got two, so
So that
if you got
okay,
time to go
gotcha.
through the other one,
I
maybe.
put about an hour and a half between your session and the next one, so that's about how long
Oh,
we'll
awesome.
be going here.
Great.
Uh, I'll share the screen with you in a second here.
Cool.
Okay, so you are a Oracle, okay? It's actually one of the heroes I look forward to playing myself. I don't know if you know, but when I go back, I'm gonna be playing 5.
No, so what's your deal? Have you just been playing chess? I don't like follow like
Yeah,
a
like,
lot.
I basically have taken like a month and a half off or so. I was just
Ah,
pretty exhausted
okay.
from pubs and like tired of the grind of the
Yeah,
toxicity,
yeah,
so been like a
yeah.
pretty nice, refreshing thing. But I decided I'm gonna go like part time back to pubs tomorrow. So
Yeah, cool. Oh,
yeah,
tomorrow.
Yeah, starting tomorrow. It's not gonna be like every day like I used to, at least now. But I
Yep.
do like miss Dota, but I've also like I wanted time away to kind of like reflect upon like just I wasn't happy consistently playing pubs. So I was like,
Yeah.
what's wrong? Like, why? Let me know if you see Dota here. And so a lot of it was me realizing I just really have no desire to play carry in the NA region anymore. So
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. No, I get
because
that. Get
nobody
that
wants
new,
to
fresh
support,
mindset.
so I'm like, if nobody wants to support, then I'll just fucking support. Like that's
Well, get me up there, mate, and I'll support for you.
yeah. I feel like if I had a 2K player that would listen to me,
Yeah.
it would probably be
Yeah.
better than what I deal with. That's like the sad
Yeah.
reality. Okay, so like I'm like because a lot of the stuff I ask for, it's like not very complicated. It's literally
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
please pull now that the lane
Yeah.
is pushed out, and then they just never mind. Okay, we're moving on. Okay,
Remember,
so
I'm a 2.3K player.
yeah. So we got the
Don't
ward
spread
mid
me apart
for
too much.
your OD against Lena. That's fine. I can work with that. Are we like aggroing, or are we just like making an aggressive move at the rune? What's the
Yeah,
idea
just
behind
trying
it?
to make sure we get the like
Okay, that's
power
fine.
amount and try and get both runes top. Yeah, yeah, get first blood
UTB
together.
bottom, good. Wow, that's something. That's okay. That's good. Continuing. So far, so good. So far, so good. Better than my supports. I mean, I'm only fast forwarding because I have no issues. This is all very good.
Yeah. Cool.
Forwarding a bit here. I want to like see what happens. Okay, so this is kind of a big deal for me. This wand. So
Yeah.
I think overall with supports, like 3 all stats generally means pretty much nothing, and then you have very little gold to work with in the first place because you're a 5. So I
Yep.
feel like your most important items are like boots, windlace, or like just at least boots. And so I see
Yep.
this commonly in my 2K sessions where they buy wand, and it's 250 gold on top of the stick that gives you 3 all stats, and at the end of the day, like movement speed is just far more valuable to you as a support than stats,
Yep.
right? So because like you're not really busy trading and stuff in lane. Like yeah, you're participating, but you're not like consistently trading in lane. So it's just something where really emphasizing the use of your gold. And this is like so far I'm only harping on this because pretty much like I would be happy with how you supported this guy if you were supporting me. Like that's why I'm fast forwarding to this. So you got to be really particular with your gold because the way I look at supporting is at this stage in the game, boots are super important because this is the time where you start doing exactly what you're doing, where you want the option to like ward somewhere else and like kind of leave your lane, and you just need to
Yeah.
do that stuff faster
Faster.
and
Yep.
safer, right? You're safer because you can move faster. So, like with this wand, this doesn't help you do your job. Like that's how I
I
kind
get
of
you.
look at it. Carries oftentimes may go a wand because they got the stick first item, and then they used the courier for like regen or a wraith band or something, and then they're still laning for like the next 4 minutes, right? So
Yeah.
suddenly wand may be useful for them. But now at this stage in the game, by the time you actually have gold for this item, you're not laning. So like
Yep.
what's the point? And then like team fights aren't about to happen yet. You know what I'm saying? So like at the end of
Totally
the day, the
understand.
only point of wand is like consistent trading in lane or team fights. And this is the stage in the game where you're not laning and it's too early for team fights. So
Yep.
the way I think about this wand and like the grand scheme of things is like to encompass it more than this just one example. is to kind of pay attention to the like this games are pretty consistent, right? Like meaning it's pretty predictable that sometime between 5 and 8 minutes or so you're gonna start doing what you're doing right now. So if you think about the game that way, you'll start noticing trends of how things start happening. So you'll start like the goal is to have items and wards, honestly, like the ones you place based on what's happening in the game. Like you're addressing what the first step of this is to do it in response to what's happening in the game. So if you started doing this, you'd use your first item for boots. But the next step would be you know you're going to do this, so you have boots like before you start doing this, right? So it's just like whenever I talk to carries and like they buy certain items and stuff, like if I talk to them about what they're actually trying to do in lane and then I explain to them their choice of item, they're like, "Oh, I feel really stupid now that I bought this item." It's like, yes, because that item isn't actually telling me your game plan. So the way I need you to think about items now is
Yeah.
this is my plan. This is what I'm going to be doing. So like if you have boots now and you've noticed that in a lot of your games you start team fighting like 10 minutes in, maybe around 10 minutes in you can start prioritizing wands or like bracers or like, stuff for that the cheap items earns that like supports will buy that allow them to be a little more survivable or have a little bit of utility in the team fights. And so it's the same thing as carries. It's just that you only have, you know, a tenth as much gold to work with rather than
Yep.
anything else. So what's with the smoke here? I guess is this to get like a good ward mid?
Yeah, and then I thought I might be able to just wrap around, but then the ancient popped out, so
Okay, so usually the funny thing is when I'm coaching supports, even in my bracket that I'm coaching, meaning like I've had like 6K support players come, I feel like all their problems are in the lane, but I actually liked how you played the lane, so I'm not going. I get this is a unique thing where I don't really have to talk about the lane much. So,
oh, that's good.
okay, so basically in this part of the game, I understand that you want to ward mid. I get that. Almost always it's super important to ward mid at nighttime. Generally speaking, if you're late to ward mid, meaning that it's 30 seconds into nighttime already, the
Hmm.
odds of the enemy team having wards just go up, right? Meaning that if you haven't, the later you ward when you're supposed to, the more likelihood the enemy team's also done the same thing. Because controlling mid with wards is pretty important at nighttime, right? That's just like a every
Yep.
game kind of thing. So if you're going to smoke, you need to do it where they can't possibly have a ward for mid, right?
Yep.
So like if you notice, it's just by chance, meaning that at the end of the day we're trying to do statistically the best play. But in this case, you actually smoke right on top of a ward. You can't see it, but like if you look at the mini map right now, oh, I need to move my stuff for regular Dota. Sorry. But you see the ward on the mini map right here. Like there's a ward
Is it?
right here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
where's the? There it is. Okay, weird replay bug. But you just like smoke right on top of a ward. And
Yep.
so
Yep.
my main idea is that if you're going to ward mid and it's 5:30,
Yep.
it's most likely warded, somewhere around here.
Yeah.
And so
Good
if
point.
you're going to smoke, it has to be like down here.
Yeah,
If
I
you're
normally do actually. I don't know what happened.
okay. So and
I
this
think
is
I like
something.
last second was like, "What the hell? I'm not smoked," and I was like, "Crack."
Okay, I got you. So then
Yeah.
your
Normally
option
I get the
is,
bounties and then I smoke and then I run towards mid.
and I don't even think you have to smoke though, by the way. I think this is a
Okay.
situation where what a lot of supports will do, since you have no intention of killing anybody, I think, right? Like your OD, like you're not a
Mm.
ganking support, right? Like, and if you were
I
killing
just thought with
somebody.
my root, I had potential.
Okay,
Like
so the way I
sometimes
look
would
at
do, but
this, okay,
yeah.
so first and foremost, like let's not even worry about that yet. But what I'm gonna
Okay.
say is, if you're not really a killing support, what I think is I'm going to walk mid like you did, and I'm
Hmm.
going to do it when my mid's alive, okay? And then when my mid's
Yeah.
alive, I'm going to use them as like a shield to lay a sentry like right in the middle of the lane, okay? What I mean
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
shield is
Yeah.
like they're just helping you deward because like if the ward's
Yeah.
like right here and you place a sentry, you're not going to get to that. What if they have a sentry too, right? You want to like
Yeah. Yeah.
control the area and then plant a sentry down because
Yeah.
last thing you want to do when you're position 5 is place a sentry, have them have a sentry on top of their ward, and then kill your sentry, and you're like, oh, well, there goes
Yeah.
100 gold, and that's like a seventh of my net worth. So, the way I look at this is if you're late, which is not always like your mistake, meaning that you were playing bottom, you got to mid around 5:30. I want to ward mid, but there's nothing more important than not having the enemy deward you. So even though you're in 2K, I think it's really important to cover your bases, meaning, make sure that you're it's like if you sentry the whole map and nobody, like, meaning every time you place a ward you sentry on top of it, and you're playing in 2K and they haven't placed a single ward all game, do you think those sentries are wasted gold?
Yeah, fully.
No, they're not wasted gold. What did they tell you? What does that sentry tell you?
What was your question again?
Sorry.
That again.
If you place wards
right.
on the map, and every time you place
Yeah.
a ward, you sentry on top of it to check if they have one first, but the enemy team hasn't bought a single ward all game because you're in 2K, is that a waste of your money on sentries?
Not not really, because I don't know, like you wouldn't know unless you place it.
Yeah, you don't know whether or not they have
Yeah.
vision there. What if,
Yeah.
like, how can you guess whether or not the opponent actually has players playing support? I've had people argue, like, the enemy never wards in my bracket anyway. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but what if it's the game that the guy does ward? The point is, if you place a sentry ward, what do you know? You know for a fact that that guy does not have vision there. And that's like a big deal, like when it comes to making plays as support. Because a lot of supporting past the laning stage, I'd say, like, it's for the entire game, but largely like 6 to 15 or so minutes in the game, is like knowing what parts of the map you have vision control of and what parts of the map you're supposed to have vision control of. So like the first step is doing the easy thing, saying, okay, understanding if I have vision here, what am I doing with it? But the next step is like knowing where you're supposed to have vision and then doing the proper thing with it. Because like there's at this stage in the game, you can usually make plays in a couple places, but usually there's one place that's like better than others. Like that's kind of how it goes. And if you're really far behind, generally speaking, there's only going to be like one play ever. So if you're not correctly identifying the best play when you're ahead, you're never going to make the right play when you're behind, because when you're ahead, there's like one great play, one good play, and one decent play. When you're behind, there's one play. Like there's no other play. So if we can identify the great play, we can usually identify the only play when we're behind. So my point being, though, is if you're walking into night vision late to place a ward like this, just wherever you're going to place a ward, don't really smoke unless you're actually ganking, and then just place a sentry like wherever you're going to ward and just check real quick, And if like I place a sentry here, that means I know there's no ward here. So I'm not going to like walk up and ward here, because what if they just have a ward here, right? And if I place a sentry here, they could still have a ward here. So I'm going to like walk here into the trees and place my ward like right here, because my sentry covers all of the wards that would see me do that. Does that
understood?
Yeah, so whenever you're thinking about warding, and like you can't sentry everything, so you kind of have to like sentry something that would open up a specific ward spot for you. And that's something you can like watch other players do like a bit of, like just watch pro players. You can literally just load a replay and watch somebody from like 5 to 10 minutes and see how they place their wards and stuff. Like it could be, it doesn't have to be you watching the whole game. You can just watch this small segment of the game. But yeah, so when I look at ganking this game, is there someone on your team that would want to be ganking with you?
Is there someone on the team?
Yeah. Is Troll ganking with you?
No.
Is OD ganking with you?
Not ganking, no.
Okay. Is Windranger ganking with you at 5 minutes? No. Is Pudge?
Pudge could.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the situation where I'm like a 3 position, meaning like I'm something like a Pudge, like a playmaking 3 position. And I've had games where I get my blink at 12 minutes and we have no smokes. And I'm like, what? Like, where did all my smokes go? I'm the playmaker on this team, and I haven't been in a smoke this game, and we have no smokes. So the point that I'm trying to make about this smoke is, if there's a player that use it with the guy that wants to smoke, right? Like, if Pudge does not want to smoke right now, you're not using smokes. Like, that's just how it is. Like, and eventually, if you get to a point where you're dealing with teammates that just, even the guy that's playing the Pudge type hero doesn't want to play with you, you might want to consider picking supports that can actually like solo smoke, like a shaman or a bane with 6 or disruptor or something, like something that can actually catch
Yep.
stuff on its own. Like, yeah, Oracle's root's like okay, but Oracle's root's more of like an enabler for another ganker to gank better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
not like a gank.
Yep.
In and of
It's
itself.
like a setup.
Yeah, yeah, it's a setup, exactly. So basically, what I'm saying about smoking and why I had such a problem with it is I'm looking at a hero on your team that would love to smoke with you, and you're not including them. So in this kind of game, like if I'm thinking about the mid game, I'm thinking who would want to make a play with me, and then once I've decided that, let's then decide what the play is. So in this case, what I would say is I like you're only gonna you can make your way to top lane. Maybe you can pressure top, like bully them away or whatever. And then once you feel like you've established control of top, what do you think I mean by like establishing control of top?
Um, I don't know. Maybe warding, like behind their tower.
Okay.
Um,
So
um,
go ahead.
just applying pressure, like pushing him, zoning him off the tower.
Yeah, so if you're like pushing the wave into their tower and you've established fear in the opponent carry, then
Yep.
if you're off map, what does and that guy doesn't see you, what does he think
Yep.
you're doing?
He thinks I'm sitting there waiting to gank him, like waiting to
But what
make
if
him
you're
play.
not there?
He
Meaning you smoked with Pudge to mid lane.
what does the carry think?
Yeah, like the opponent carry. Like what is like what I'm saying? I'm just asking you. He thinks you're there, but what if you're not there?
Like he's just unsure of where we
Yeah,
are.
he doesn't know, right? So that's the
Yeah.
entire point. So generally around this stage in the game, once you've secured your own safe lane, one of the
Yep.
best things to do is try to maybe establish some ward control of mid
Hmm.
or like their jungle or something. Like any ward in like this general area. Like I know it's a large area, but like this is generally the
Yeah.
area you try to look depending on the matchups of the heroes. Like if they have an
Hmm.
alchemist, I don't think a ward here is gonna do shit, right? Like
Mm.
you're gonna
Yep.
get confirmed that the alchemist is not here. Right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, in this
Yeah.
case, I don't mind a ward mid because it's still two heroes that, like, plan to occupy mid, right? But, like,
Yeah.
so if you're against an alchemist, I'd want a ward, like, right here. Or, like, right here or something that sees this
Confirming
camp
what
and
you
that
already
camp.
know. I
Yeah.
like it.
So basically, my point though is if you can establish control like this, and then you pressure this area, and then you just play here, you want to create this scenario where they know you're here, but they don't know anything else. Like they don't
Yep.
know what here is, meaning like they don't know if you're sitting right here,
Mhm.
they don't know if you're sitting right here, they don't know if you're walking into their jungle, and that's done by just pressuring for a
Read
bit.
off map.
Being like
Yep.
you walk up here, you pressure, and then you play off
Yep.
map. Like you establish
Yep.
control of an area, and then you play off map. Because it's not enough to just play off map, right? So
Yep.
like the whole like pressuring and pushing in the lane to the tower, it's gonna enable your Wind Ranger to like play aggressively. Because if she's playing aggressively and you're missing,
Yep.
the other guy has to assume you're there. And if he doesn't act like you're there, and you are there, he's dead, right? So that's like the idea that you're trying to instill in two different lanes, right? You're trying to do that in two different lanes. So there's two options. There's in terms of this stage in the game. You're either trying to make plays yourself, in which case you're usually playing around this area, or you're trying to counterplay them making plays. Where do you think they're most likely making plays?
Probably the same in reverse.
Yeah, it's probably down
outside lane.
here, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
generally speaking, though, when you're behind or if they're trying to make plays, they might make a play up here. So generally, if I'm supporting and I'm trying to think about counterplaying, I'm going to play here with a TP ready to go here, right?
Mhm.
On the opposite side, like if I know my carry is vulnerable, but we have like a ward to see stuff, I'm going to be looking to play aggressively here. And the minute I see them like going on my carry, I'm going to TP to here. So like it's just a matter of understanding that this is a rule, and I've coached always like with exceptions, meaning that this isn't something where if you're ahead and you're trying to make plays, 100% of the time it's here. It's like a large percentage of the time. So there are exceptions to this, and the only way to really learn those exceptions is by watching other players and being like, this guy's ahead. Why is he not here? right? Like what hero or what matchup or whatever is causing him to play here instead. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe he's against a hero that really likes to ancient, and so the only way to keep that hero down is by establishing ward control of this area, and not really caring about this area, right?
Mhm.
But in this case,
Yeah.
I'm
So
thinking to
depending on the
myself,
matchup.
say it again.
Yeah. So depending on the matchup,
Yeah.
depends where you'll place this like
So in this
on mid
game, something
boards.
you should what's like name to me if you can things you would consider when you're like you walk away from your lane, you pick up these bounties and you leave. Do you ever think like anything to do with the lane you just left?
Yeah, I think like I placed the ward there so that I do have vision if he's getting ganked and he's got enough time to get back at least to the tower. Um, I've looked at like who is in lane at the moment. Like I saw that there was just one,
Okay.
and I normally push the lane before like I'll pull at the 4:15
Yeah.
so that there's a double wave so that we can push through and we can fight for the bounty sort of thing at that point.
That
Yeah.
doesn't always happen, but that is something you like
Yeah, I
that is
try
good,
to
right?
try
Yeah,
try
you
try
always try to
try
do
to
that. So,
yeah.
I guess my question for you is when you look at this matchup, this is something you should do every game. When you leave this lane and you look at this matchup,
Yeah.
like can you give me as good of a description of the dynamic of this matchup right now? Like at this stage in the
Um
game?
not really.
I'm
I'm
saying like if I
thinking
described
I'm
you who
thinking
kills who, does anybody threaten who like wins the trades, this kind of stuff.
I think Legionnaire maybe, but like Troll's a level up on him, so I don't know. Like depending on what he's leveled is if he's got whatever it's called. I don't play carry enough. The regen. What's the one that the counter helix or whatever it is?
This is moment of courage.
The
You're talking about
the
this,
third
right?
ability?
Yeah.
No, no,
Oh, you're talking on
on
troll?
Legionnaire. No, no,
Oh yeah, yeah. This is moment of courage.
Legion Commander.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moment of Courage. Yeah,
Okay, so
I don't know.
like,
I guess that helps him
okay,
trade against Troll.
so this is something you need to start practicing. Okay, so
Yeah.
one benefit for someone like me that I'm going to play support is your job is to understand the carry role, like matchups as well as the carry, or at least to some
Yeah.
extent. Meaning, like if I understand it at 10 out of 10, you should at least be like a 6 or a 7. Okay,
Yeah.
because what I mean by this is I need to know in the back of my mind what the likelihood of me returning to this lane is, why, and like what heroes on their team or whatever, like what occurrence would make me have to go back here. Okay, so like in this case, Troll's really good against Legion. Why? Legion's only way of sustaining and trading is by right clicks, is it not?
Mhm.
And he has this. So this costs him 50 mana to cast, and for her to remove it, it costs 110.
Yeah.
So Legion's unfavored in this matchup, even if they're on the same level. So
Right.
I look at matchups and be like, okay, who's favored if they're the exact same farm and level? And then based on like who's ahead or not, how does that change anything? So like an
Mm.
example of that would be if Tiny and Lifestealer are the same level, Tiny is heavily unfavored in that matchup. So if Tiny is like level 4 and Lifestealer is level 6, Tiny's game's like incredibly over. But like if Tiny's level 6 and Lifestealer is level 5, Lifestealer isn't gonna win, but he's okay. So like I would say there's really no play to make because Lifestealer is lower level than him, but Lifestealer is not gonna die because he's behind in levels. So I'm
Yeah.
just giving you one example of the type of matchup you want to understand. So like in
Yeah.
this case, Troll is good against Legion. I don't know if you think Troll is a good hero against Legion. So I'm thinking to
Yeah.
myself, I'm never gonna have to return here until the opponent actually ganks for this Legion. So
Mhm.
if you look at their lineup, who would gank?
Me lean forward. Probably not. A Lion would gank. Lion would gank. I
It's a
guess.
mid lion, I guess, is what's happening. So it is a mid lion. He would gank. Okay.
Yeah.
So he would
And
gank.
Lena
Uh,
could gank.
yeah, and
Like
but
AA
would
probably
Lena
wouldn't
be enough?
until
Well, like Lena A, what do Lena AA need for them to gank?
they need ults.
They
They need
need
level 6.
like, are their ults enough?
Um. No. No.
So they have
Don't
damage,
think
right?
so.
What do you what's
I
it take
guess
to kill somebody? Two things.
I don't know. Damage.
Damage is one. What's the other?
Disable?
Yeah, stuns and damage. So
Yep.
Lina and AA, they have damage, right? So what do they need
Yeah.
in order to kill this guy?
Disable.
Okay, well, who provides it?
Leaner in line.
Lina does not provide the disable because Troll can literally just walk away from like an LSA.
Okay.
So right, so she's kind of like somebody who follows up, not somebody who initiates. So who provides the disable? This guy, this guy. When does this guy provide it?
When he's at 6.
Okay, so when Legion hits 6, who else do I have to concern myself with ganking this troll other than Lion? The Lena and the A, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you understand? Like, I'm trying to coach. Like, I understand this is like usually when I go into coaching sessions, I present people with things they've never thought about before. So like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to present you with this is the type
No, that's
of
good. I like it.
analysis you need to have as a support player to like
Yeah,
actually
fully.
have direction for what you're doing, right? Like, because if you're like, if you think to yourself, actually, what it takes to kill this troll,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be like, okay, as long as Lion doesn't go bottom, he's not dying. But once Legion hits 6, if she gets some follow up, he might die. So the minute Legion hits 6, you can start concerning yourself with where the opponent supports are. But right
Yeah.
now, in regards to this lane, do you care where the Lina AA are? Are they ever
No,
killing this guy? Right? Like they're not
not,
killing this
no,
guy. So
not based on what you
that's
said.
like
So then
it's
I
really
can use
nice
my
in
time
Dota.
elsewhere.
It's really nice in Dota to like write stuff off. Like I don't have
Mm.
to worry about this because if you're
Yeah.
not
You put
worried
your
about things that don't
focus in other
matter,
areas.
you can focus on things that do matter, right?
Yep.
So, and then like what happens is you can kind of set this like internal clock of like when I will have to worry about this again, right? So it's kind of like
Yep.
when the lane equilibrium gets out of control, you that triggers you to go pull, like that, like that mental
Yeah.
alarm goes off that says I need to go pull. So it's like in this case, you're like I don't need to worry about this lane anymore. But the minute Legion hits 6, I like that's gonna be a alarm go off in my head that says I need to worry about this lane again. But until then, I don't give a shit about this lane. And like I feel like a lot of supports they don't know what to do because they don't know what they're actually supposed to think about. They don't know what
Yeah,
to.
that's so true. I definitely do know like that because I do play POS 5 so much. I've literally got the most limited carry pool of like probably like 4 heroes to be honest. Like I've played like a bunch of others, but I do know exactly what you're saying. I need to play all the other heroes so that I know like their strengths and weaknesses and
Yeah, I
things
think
like
that
that
this can be done
and
by only playing
matchups.
a hero like a couple times. So what
Yeah.
happens is like yeah, I've played a lot of Troll, but like once I've understood this thought process, it doesn't take me very long to actually address a hero. Like literally
Yeah.
look at a matchup. What does Troll use to win the lane? I don't
I
care
don't
if you
know. I don't play troll.
I mean, what
I
do
don't
his
think I've ever played
abilities do?
troll. I don't know. He's throwing axes
I mean, you have to
slow,
know
I
what his
think.
abilities do. I'm saying like if you're gonna climb MMR like as a support, you
Yeah.
actually have to at least know what the carry player heroes do. Meaning like you don't have to know like the in depth like what is their game plan, what is their itemization, but you have to know what the abilities do. Okay, so like do you know
Yeah.
what?
I fully get you. I don't know what troll does. I know what heaps of others do, but I don't
Okay,
know.
so your next goal, I know this sounds crazy, right? But like I actually watched you pull like better than a 6K, okay? So like we're not going
Yeah.
to worry about your like lane equilibrium management and pulling cuz your harassing overall and lane and stuff was like really good. That's not going to be what's keeping like that's not going to be a problem again until you're at least like 4 or 5K, okay? Like that
Yep.
like I'm not saying it's like perfect, but like that's not something that's going to keep you from gaining MMR for a long time. So like we're not going to worry about that. So
Yeah.
your next step would be that every carry hero that's in your game, like at the start, even while you're just like walking, spend the 20 seconds clicking their abilities and reading like exactly what they do. Like whatever your laning partner is, okay? So like if you don't know Troll very well, I'm gonna look at him for you. So the first ability, it allows him to have bonus armor and makes him melee. So he gets a little bit of movement speed, but mainly the bonus armor. That helps, right? 6 bonus armor. But so level 1, he's either going to have 6 bonus armor, but basically be a creep, or he's going to have Whirling Axes ranged, which is a slow that does 75 damage. So if I'm a carry, like if I'm thinking about supporting, I think about like all the pulling and lanes and harassing and positioning, all that kind of stuff. Do you know what carries think about? Like, can you name anything a carry would think about going into a lane?
Like in what context?
Like, if I go into a lane matchup, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
Do you know? Have you
Um,
ever thought about this?
um, no, not really. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Like how
funny.
much?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like what sort of items, I guess, like you're gonna need against like whatever that person's
Okay, so
strengths
like
are.
key lane thing dynamics I think of is
Yeah,
CSing, meaning like
yeah.
who has more
Like,
damage,
can you out
who
damage
how do
him?
I
Yeah,
CS, like what the
yeah.
hero's toolkit is for CSing, and then trading
Mm-hmm.
and kill potential. These are like
Yeah.
things I think about. So it's like who kills who and what circumstance, like do they kill them? Who wins the trades at what level? Like when do they win those trades? And then meaning like certain matchups where like level 1 Slark will be favored because he has essence shift and the other guy only has one ability. But then level 2 the other guy has like a stun plus something and Slark only got pounce, which doesn't help him. So then he loses the trades at level 2. It's like the point is you have to think about kill potential, trades, and CSing. So like for Troll, what's his way of CSing? His only way of CSing level 1, if he levels this, is by hitting stuff for 45 damage. So if the Troll's like not terrible, they don't level this because they're
Yeah.
a right clicker with 45 damage. Okay? And so it's like, what are they going to level? They're going to level the ranged ability that gives them a 75 damage nuke to CS. So when it comes to range creep CS as a support, do you have to help him get the range creep?
I'd say no.
No. What is he going to do as troll? He should, if he's any good, he's going to attack the creep and throw axes at the same time, effectively doing like 120 damage to that creep.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is like a small example. I'm just giving you a small example that can be used on like every hero when you think about the matchup. But the point is, if I'm playing with, let me think, what's a good example? I got to pull this up. If I'm playing with anti-mage, if they have a lot of harassing damage, do I have any way to secure a range creep?
No, I don't think so.
I would have to
No.
walk up and hit it myself and take like 200 damage, right?
Yeah,
So what's something you can consider as a support?
I guess what you're saying. Assist him in
Yeah,
taking
assisting
a
him
lot
in
too.
getting that range creep. And if he can't get it, what should you do?
I'd take it, I guess.
You fucking nuke it. You have
Yeah,
120 damage, right?
yeah.
Like nuke that creep. So like this is just an example of like I'm telling you lane dynamics, and it's only happened in this. Like I feel like in this game, a lot of the things you did were really good, but they actually had nothing to do with the actual lane dynamic. And this understanding actually has crucial impact on like this stage in the game because you're kind of moving, so your laning stage is over, but the carries and stuff, their laning stage is not over, right? So like
Yeah,
if you understand the dynamic of their matchup, then you will make way better decisions at this stage in the game
yeah. I
than
get you.
yeah, that's why I'm just telling you and the viewers like that is why I'm going into like this ridiculous tangent about this whole thing. So like when I'm looking at this matchup though, it's important to know like Troll's really only ability is to throw axes and like but once he hits level 2, he gets his melee whirling axes as well as like some armor. So suddenly his ability to like trade and fight is like way better level 2 than it is level 1. So level 1 I'm probably going to play a little more chill, but the minute Troll hits 2, I might be willing to make a move on the opponent if I see an opportunity because I know Troll gets like a huge power spike with level 2. But like in this stage in the game, just knowing that Troll matches up well against Legion is like really important. And like the way I look at this is like Legion's main duel, like her only damage other than overwhelming odds is right clicks only. Like she only does right click damage, and he has an ability that makes her miss 60% of the time.
Hmm.
Like who wins, right? Like that's going to be Troll, even if they're equally matched. So the only time Legion may win is if she's like 2 levels ahead of this guy. But then at the same time, she only does right click damage, and he has 6 bonus armor for free. Like, so he has 11 armor. So her only source of damage is right clicks, and he has 11 armor and makes her miss 60% of the time. So what I'm basically saying is you need to think about like what these heroes have in their kits, and it will help you play the landing stage a bit, but it's going to help you here. So like when I'm rotating out of bottom lane, I'm like this lane doesn't matter anymore. But then we think about the Jug versus Wind Ranger matchup. Like let's think about that real quick. Who do you think's favored there, and like why?
Jug Wind Ranger. Uh, uh, he's got the whirling thing, power shot. Um, I don't know, probably Jug.
Why?
I don't know if you get Stout Shield and
How does he ever deal damage to Wind Ranger?
oh yeah, he doesn't. Yeah,
Okay, what does she do the entire laning stage?
I don't know, just like kite him.
Doesn't she just like hit him?
Yeah,
So like over the course of the lane, yeah, this guy is like CS'd well, meaning like it's about even because he's going to be hitting creeps with a quelling blade, right? But
yeah,
is it predictable that at 540 he's out of regen and he's not laning?
yeah, yeah. True.
Isn't it? Because she's just
Yeah,
been hitting
yeah,
him the whole time, and that's
yeah. Totally.
and he can't hit her. So she's like, she has no regen and he has no regen, but who does that favor? The person who harasses the other person, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So all I'm saying is like matchups are kind of predictable. Like if you ask yourself, how does Jug deal damage to Wind Ranger? He runs at her. Worst case scenario, she pushes the 15-second cooldown, 50 mana cost. You know, like virtually no cost to her ability that
Yep.
makes her run away from him, and then he can't hit her either. So like his only way of
Mm.
dealing damage is spin, which is based on him being faster than the other person, but her ability gives her move speed, and then right clicking, which she has an ability that makes you miss 100% of the time. So like knowing this, meaning that there's no play Jug can make on Wind Ranger, right? If he ults her, what's she gonna do?
If he ults Windrunner,
Yeah,
um, I don't know, just Windrunner away.
she's gonna push her 15-second cooldown, 50 mana ability, and he's gonna do 0 damage.
Yeah.
Right? So are you ever going top lane to make a counterplay?
No.
No. Why are you going top?
I don't know, just to try and get the tower, I
To
guess.
make an aggressive play, right?
Yeah.
But like, so we've now looked at these lane matchups and been like, okay, Troll, there's nothing Troll can, or nothing Legion can do to Troll. So I'm not worried about counterplaying bottom. I'm not worried about counterplaying top. But if I want to make an aggressive play, I can go top because of what we just talked about, because of the dynamic between Wind Ranger and Jug. It's likely that if Jug decides to lane, Wind Ranger keeps hitting him, and then he's half health, and then he dies to a gank. Right? That makes sense. And then since I know that's my only concern about the side lanes, so now that may lead me to saying, okay, what about the mid lane? Well, my guy just died, and he's losing, like in terms of levels, but Lion doesn't have finger because Lion fingered him to get that kill. So is there any lane I'm actually concerned with right now?
No, not
No.
just middle.
No, I mean middle's like a
Oh, it's because of
problem
the finger.
when
But yeah,
Lion gets finger again, but like until
yeah.
that 3-minute cooldown comes off, is there anything I actually have to do on the map?
At this point, um, nah.
No, right? Like there's actually nothing. So our
Yeah.
choices are to do something for ourselves, which is like the way I look at 5 position, and the only reason you're position 5 as opposed to position 1 is you have to take into account everyone else's game and then make your decision. Like when I'm position 1, I'm just going to do what's best for me because
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's supposed to carry the game. But when you're position 5, it's actually harder because you have to think to yourself, okay, if you want to farm or get levels, but it means you abandon your carry. In this game, is that okay? To like
To
go
do
get
what?
farm if it's to go get farm and levels somewhere while abandoning your carry? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what if you did that same thing in a game where it wasn't? Right? Like meaning that in order to get the stuff you need, you actually have to first concern yourself with other people, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like weird, right? So
Yeah.
like the reason why I'm having like
Selfless.
I'm going through this whole thought process for you is the goal is I'm not expecting you to process this stuff like next game you go into. My goal is when you leave the bottom lane to like give that maybe 5-10 second period where you assess the matchup and maybe feel free to watch pro matches between certain heroes. Like I'd say the goal is you don't have to play carry heroes as much as you have to. When there's a carry hero that's picked first every game in a meta, what name some this patch?
I don't know. I don't watch enough.
Oh, well, Lifestealer. Okay, that's like the number one. You need to understand
Yeah.
Lifestealer. And it's like over the course of time, you'll just like add these heroes to your repertoire of like understanding. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you watch like one game of Lifestealer, they're pretty much all the same. So you'll understand how Lifestealer plays. Like that's what you'll understand. And so if you're a support, you'll know how better to support a Lifestealer. Does a Lifestealer want you to gank for him around 12, 13 minutes?
I don't know.
Is Lifestealer what? Okay, it's
Why
it's
does
this
he
is an
want to
important
rank?
type of understanding. Lifestealer's a hero right now that just
Yeah.
goes Midas Radiance. That's all he does. He just
Oh yeah.
phase
Yeah.
boots Midas Radiance. That's what he does. So around 13 minutes, and if I'm with a Lifestealer, should I be ganking for him if he has a Midas going into a Radiance?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
no. I think one of the most annoying things about like bad support players is
Mm.
when I'm a carry hero that has no desire to have plays made around me, and the supports come to me and try to make plays. Right? So that's why I'm talking to you about this, because if you understand what heroes on your team want to make plays, then your job as a support is you don't make the plays yourself. You go to the guy that makes the plays and allow
Mm-hmm.
them to make plays. Like that's what
Yep.
you're doing. Like as an oracle, maybe your root's nice, but in like the mid game with your level 6, it allows the guy to like go very aggressive, and then if the opponent like turns on them, you just ult him and save him and like, you know, enable him to be more aggressive by defending him, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
we've gone into this like ridiculous in-depth thing here, but mainly like
So
when you watch
don't
this
smoke
back,
under ward vision.
yeah, yeah, don't smoke under ward vision was what the point of that entire
Essentially.
spiel was. No, just like when you go back and watch this session, just kind of
Yeah.
the main emphasis from that whole thing is the perspective you need to have on the matchups in the laning now. And so like now that we've established you don't have to worry about anything in terms of your heroes dying, we can look to make plays, we can look to go ward, we can look to go pull bottom and get XP, we can look to maybe pressure a tower. Like, you know, we have all these options. But if you don't think about those kind of things and then they are a problem, you're just gonna like randomly leave one of your carries to die somewhere that they like shouldn't be. Is basically what's gonna happen. Okay, so TLDR, don't ward and don't smoke under a ward.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do go back bottom. And I'm not a fan of
It's good.
this. I'm not a fan of
It's
this.
good.
Go ahead.
I was just, it's good to know that you said that my laning is okay, because that's been my main focus literally for like the last like I don't know, like 2 months sort of thing, like, or month and a half. I've literally just like every game, obviously I play the whole game and try and improve throughout, but I'm literally like focused so hard on the first 10 to 15 minutes, just
And
trying to
that's
get
really
that
important
like
because I said
completely
in
unlocked.
like in 99% of my support coaching sessions, they want me to teach
Yeah.
them like late game decision making and stuff, and I'm like watching their
Yeah.
laning stage, and I'm like, ugh, like
Yeah.
I can't teach you how to make proper decisions in the late game if you can't do it in the first 5. So just to like
Yeah.
rehash for you to make sure you understand like, you know, positive reinforcement, but also like to know why I was happy with it. You're in a lane
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
like Troll's pretty independent. This guy's not gonna kill him. So you playing away from Troll's really good, meaning like only like pulling and then showing up in his lane to get kills or maybe harass a bit between pulls. That's the kind of help he wants because that tilts the balance in favor of him. But he doesn't want you to like sit there behind him because you don't have to. But if you're in a lane where Troll is under kill threat, you can't be doing that exact same thing because every time you're over here, he's gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So the reason why I was okay with you pulling and kind of playing this like kite game the way you were is because his matchup against Legion is favorable, or like she at least isn't gonna kill him. So you're just basically giving him some harass bonus by harassing the Legion, but then you're also giving him a little bit of XP bonus by pulling. And then you're also giving yourself a bit of XP by like not stealing his, right? And then so like the whole idea of that is like every time you helped him while the lane was right here, and the lane pushed out, and then you pulled, and then the lane reset, and then you pushed him out like with harass, because every time you harass the opponent, it's gonna push the lane, right? Like that's just what it's gonna do. So that natural cycle of pull, harass, pull, harass, push, pull. You know, like you did that like really well. So that's like why, you know, I haven't really emphasized that. So now we're moving on to this mid game where I'm looking
No,
at
this
it
is
as
good.
you have no reason to be here because Lion is not ganking, Legion is level 4, and I told you that Wind Ranger is not scared of this jug at all, right? So if you go top, the way I look at matchups is you need to understand the dynamic of these matchups without you in the picture, okay? So this is the first thing. There's 2 ways of understanding being a support in terms of the dynamic of matchups. First, understand the matchup if you are not there. What that means is if you leave this area, this is what's going to happen, okay? Or at least like kind of what's going to happen. You can't always predict exactly, especially with like player error, right? Like just people messing up. But at the end of the day, you need to then understand what your hero does and how you will change that. Like if you like whatever that dynamic is, what your hero does and how you affect that. So if you have a hero that kind of pokes down Jug, if you walk at him, if he does not threaten Wind Ranger and he walks at you, what's going to happen to him?
He's just gonna lose health from
He's
Windringer.
just going to get hit a lot and potentially
Yeah.
die. Like he's going to maybe try to spin on you. You're going to like Fate's Edict yourself, take no damage, and then when he comes out of spin, you root him and he's probably dead, right? Like
Yeah.
isn't that like what else is he going to do?
Hmm.
And then you say, okay, well, the next step to that is like maybe Lion has to come up and finger you. Like, okay, then you forced a Lion finger on you instead of OD or something like that, you know? But the point
Yeah.
is, the dynamic of this matchup top is that Wind Ranger offers threat on Jug, and Jug offers no threat on Wind Ranger. Is it likely that Wind Ranger is going to solo kill a Jug?
Probably not till
Probably
6.
not. So
Mm.
suddenly, I'm telling you that this hero threatens this hero, but she doesn't solo kill this hero.
Hmm.
So what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I can come assist.
You should go there because if she is immensely threatened by Jug, say this is a level 4 squishy ranged hero, and that's a level 6 Jug, and you show up to this lane, and the Jug walks at you, what's that level 4 squishy hero going to do?
The Windringer.
I'm saying, like, if Jug is way ahead of this offlaner and he threatens to
Mm.
kill them with an Omni Slash, and the Jug
Mm.
runs at you, what's the offlaner going to do?
I don't know, probably run away.
Run away, and then what's going to happen to
Yeah.
you?
I'll die.
Yes. So, but when it came down to the success of your rotation, did I care anything to do with your hero?
No, you were considering.
The matchup
Yeah.
between the two heroes of the lane you're going to. So, like right here, what I'm describing to you is you're showing up in a lane that doesn't need your help.
Hmm.
So effectively, you're just not doing anything. That's kind of how I look at it, right? Like you're dedicating a hero's resource, and you're not accomplishing anything. 1 second, I did have.
So, that's good to know. So, like, this is really good because in my couple of notes that I wrote, I was just like, I was wondering, like, what to do between the 8 and 12 minute mark because I feel like that's a bit of a. It's exactly what we're talking about. I feel like what is it,
Yes.
7 minutes? Like I feel like after the bounties, like this is actually perfect what you're saying. But so like in my head, I was just like I remember like in this, and I'm pretty sure I'll probably go and pull and just try and get 6. Like
Yes.
that's what I'm doing down here. But like so that's not always like the best thing to do. I think like that's what I thought. My 6 is going to be big in team fights. I'll go and I'll just try and pull lane and just farm up 6 sort of thing. But like, are you saying like I could go top, like apply pressure, and also just like soak the levels up there while we're harassing the tower type of thing?
Okay, so
Like
here's
my
how I
6
look
is
at it,
probably not.
okay?
Yeah.
So your first job as a support is to secure whatever lane you're in. And I think the question you have to ask yourself in any game, because this is actually the correct question, is at what point is my lane secured? There are some
Yeah.
games where if you like crush the lane and your safe laner is level 3 and the off laner is level 1.5,
Yeah.
the lane's secured. And you'll
Yeah. Cool.
see you'll see like in pro matches where the support will literally TP away at a minute and a half
Oh, this is awesome.
and like never
What
come
you're
back.
saying now, like I
Right?
never think this.
Okay.
I think like I've got to be here for like 10 minutes and just stay out of experience as much as like like
Exactly.
like best case like I would stay out if I need to be in lane I'll be in lane, but best case I just pull until I get 6 and then I think I can then start roaming. But
Yes.
I love what you're saying. I never consider just he's good here, I'm gonna go and try lane top or
Yeah,
something.
so the way I look at it is when you think about pulling and that kind of stuff, I compare it to jungling as a carry, okay? Because when you're pulling, you're not exactly accomplishing anything. But what are you doing? You're just giving yourself some farm and levels, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you've heard my other coaching sessions, maybe, when is it correct to pull? Like, and just farm for levels? Like, when is it correct to just chill and farm for levels?
um I think like if you've got a big level 6
If there's
spell, I
literally
guess.
nothing else to do.
Yeah.
That's the answer. When I tell carries that they're supposed to jungle, it's because they've considered every lane they could go to, they've considered every play they could make, they've considered every tower they could potentially push, and they realize that none of them are viable. Then they go jungle. Okay? So for you, when you're thinking about like pulling and like playing your own game, you've considered, does mid, off lane, or safe lane need my help? Do I need to ward anywhere? Like, do I need to do any of these things that like are my job as a support? And if the answer is no, then usually your best bet will be to just go pull for levels, because that's just like a quote unquote efficient play, right? Like that's just, you know, you're getting you're not soaking any XP from your carry, you're like taking a little of XP from the offlaner, and you're giving yourself farm and XP. So like the way I look at this is the key to the early game, recognizing when your carry doesn't need you anymore, or like whatever your lane partner is that doesn't need you anymore, is it comes down to the understanding of the matchup when you're there and the matchup when you're not there. That's all there is to it. So like the next, like the whole other level to that is, if my carry's level 3 and their offlaner's level 1, if it's 1v1, do I have to be there?
No.
But what if suddenly they bring 2 or 3 heroes to his lane at 3 minutes into the game? Should I be there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, because my guy is stronger than their guy, but they have 2 extra guys there. So we should enable the guy that's stronger than the other guy rather than letting the guy that's stronger get bullied by 3 people, right? Yeah. So, but the thing is, so like when I think, okay, he's fine because it's 1v1, but if this happens, he's not going to be fine. Why am I concerned about that? Because if nothing happens, he's fine. So I know I can leave. So what I'm considering when I leave is, what would make me come back? Yeah. That's all I need to think about, right? And if that specific scenario does not happen, then I don't go back. So like when I told you at 540, when you were walking through mid lane and I was assessing this lane matchup, I gave you an in-depth description of why this troll would need you. Has any of that happened?
No.
No. So he doesn't need you, right? Like like for all, like if I'm a carry here and you're sitting here, I'm literally like, hi.
Oh, I mean, on the mini map, I think someone's rocking in.
But is AA gonna do anything?
Yeah,
troll?
No,
we already talked about, right? AA is a damage, but he needs disable, and she's level 4, and troll's level 6.
Yeah. No, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, so this AA doesn't matter. I'm literally saying, like, until Legion 6, the only guy that matters is this guy, and he's here, right? So, like, if he's not there, maybe you could consider sitting behind troll, and if anything, I think this ward should be here. Because you're concerned about the lion, and other than him TPing in the tower, the only way he gets bottom is by doing this, right? So, like, you know, at an even higher level, I would have warded right here because it sees the rune, but it also would definitely see lion rotating from mid to bottom.
Yeah,
so,
I've seen the pros putting it there. I watched a couple of games the other night, and yeah, they're using that ward.
But it comes down to, like, it's not enough to know what the good ward spots are. It's you need like the reason if you think of knowing the reason to put that ward there. Because I'm not, like, I've only played a few games of, like really high-level support games. But I told you exactly who's going to kill who in this game, and, like, how, if it happens. Not, like, you just have to prepare for the possibilities. You don't have to prepare for, like, what they're exactly going to do. You can't predict what the enemy team's exactly going to do. But if you know the only way troll dies is by Legion getting 6 or lion walking bottom, then you place a ward here, and he's covered until Legion 6, right? Like, he's covered. And so, like, that's, like, I literally say, okay, lion kills him. How does lion do that? Oh, he's just going to get a rune and walk bottom. So I'll just place a ward that sees the rune and the lion who would walk bottom. So that's what it comes down to. And so, like, when I was at 540, I could have told you I would never go back bottom until that scenario happens. So since I'm never going back bottom, what does OD want from you? Does OD really, like, want you to gank for him?
No, I guess not.
Not really. Like if you're gonna gank for him, you should make it like a real gank, meaning like with like the pudge
or something.
Yeah, like with the pudge, make it like a real, you know, concerted effort gank. But then if we have eliminated that you don't need troll, or troll doesn't need you, and if you're gonna gank mid, it should probably be with pudge. We should come to the conclusion that you play with pudge top, which allows you to apply pressure, and then you have the choice to gank mid because you have your pudge with you. So cool. I'm just like, people ask me like, BSJ, do I gank mid? Do I pull? Do I do this? There's so many factors to
Yeah,
going
yeah,
into that decision. Like, I can't give you the correct decision in an answer. I can give you, because of this exact scenario, because of these factors, do this. And so the goal
yeah,
that I'm trying to tell you, and I get that you get that, is think about these factors and it'll help you make an educated decision. And even if you end up being wrong, at least you had the right ideas in consideration, and then you, in whatever circumstance happens, you can kind of decide, why was I wrong? Like, what did I not think about? Like, what factor was I forgetting? So I think for this session, based on what I'm seeing, I'm going to primarily, like, I'm not going to go through the rest of this game. I'm going to go till about 13 or 14 minutes, and then we'll go into the other game and talk about that one, like, in depth for this portion of the game.
yeah, yeah. Cool.
Because I think you agree that that's something you need. And,
Oh, I totally agree.
yeah.
I love. That's what I was like loving. Like
Why
I
is
think
this
because last
chess
time
player
we
teaching
focused a
someone
lot on
go
the
to
laning
Kappa?
phase.
Yeah.
And like I'm not saying like I'm like amazing laning phase, but I feel I've improved a lot.
You're
in
far
laning
better
phase.
than 2K at laning. I'm not saying that to, you don't need to, like, get a full of yourself or anything, but, like,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
genuine honesty that you are far better than 2K at laning. So
yeah,
now
yeah.
you're at the
But
point. Go ahead, continue. And then
yeah,
interrupt
and
you.
no. Sorry, that's all I was saying. I was just like saying it's cool to notice like you watching it and then saying this is where we need to focus, because that's exactly what I think where I'm at the moment. Because I do feel, like I said, I've written in my notes, between the 8 to 12 minute mark, I'm sort of feeling a bit lost, and this seems to be exactly what you're talking to me about.
So why do you think
Like,
plays are being made around your troll? Can you give your best synopsis of why plays are being made around your troll?
I would just assume that probably the Legion was saying I can't like match up against him, so maybe like we need to start ganking this guy.
Okay. So my question for you, I think this will blow your mind. I'm not 100% sure. But
I hope so.
so I told you, if Legion lanes against troll 1v1, who wins?
Yeah, troll.
Okay.
Troll.
So, can you give me an idea of the best way to ensure that that remains a 1v1?
Probably apply pressure to the other lanes,
Yeah,
like
make
top lane,
shit
like you were
happen
saying.
elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
Because if that AA is stuck helping his jug, then
Yep.
you're forcing a favorable 1v1
Yeah.
bottom,
Awesome.
right? So the way that you make a favorable 1v1 not be a favorable 1v1 is by going to the guy in the favorable 1v1, which means there's no pressure being made elsewhere, which means the opponent is willing to bring 3 heroes to shut down your 2, right?
Yeah. Applying
Yes.
pressure
So if
relieves
you're just
pressure.
creating chaos in the top lane, you have a troll that's winning the 1v1. What's more important to win, the tri lanes or the 1v1s?
I don't know. I'd hazard a guess at the 1v1.
Why?
Um, just like a 1v1 in the safe lane. Is that where the 1v1 is?
Oh, I'm saying, if you have a 1v1 in one of the side lanes and you have a tri
Yeah.
lane versus tri lane in the other, assuming one of them's not getting annihilated, okay? Like, which one is supposed to, like, which one benefits you to win more?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so if you win the tri lane, the carry is
Yeah.
going to be level 4 to the opponent's level 3, right?
Yeah.
If you win the 1v1, you're level 7 to their level 5.
Yeah.
So
True.
what's more important?
Yeah.
The guy that got level 4 by the time the other guy got level 7, right? Like,
Yeah.
the guy with level 7
makes
can
sense.
take over the fucking game. While the guy with level
Yeah.
4, like, yeah, he's ahead of the carry, so he might have, like, a bit of a start. But, like,
Yeah.
he's going to
That's
spend
why
the
it's
next...
so important to win mid.
He's not going to be stronger than the guy who's level fucking 7, right? So, like, anytime you can recognize a favorable 1v1 and you can do something to allow that 1v1 to continue, then the only thing you have to think about is, what can I do to make that 1v1 continue? And how can the enemy team make that not a 1v1, like a favorable 1v1? Is it by killing him? Is it just applying pressure? What is it? And so if you're in the game where, like, you're the other team and you have this Legion against the troll, what do you think? I would literally say, if I'm a support on the other team, let's let Legion get 6, and then we go to that lane immediately. So, like, generally speaking, I think to myself, if I'm at a disadvantage in a lane, at what point can that be changed? Like, at what point can we do something about it? I don't think there's anything they can do with a level 4 Legion to a level 6 troll. I don't care if they bring both supports. What are they gonna do? What do they do? Like, yeah, maybe the guy has to walk away, but they brought 3 heroes to make the guy like walk away, right? So like, if you're a support and somebody's ahead, you need to think, what's gonna make them not be ahead? And I gave you that synopsis of Lion walking bottom, Legion getting 6, and the support's ganking, right? That's what I told you. But if you're on the
Yeah.
opposite end where you have an unfavorable situation, meaning your offlaner's losing and the enemy carries like snowballing, you need to recognize or like attempt to recognize the instant that you can do something about it. Because there are situations that at the current moment you can't do anything about them, right? Like I said, if the Legion's level 4 and Troll's level 6 and you're this AA, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
Like
Yeah.
that guy shouldn't have walked bottom. Like that guy shouldn't be there. But like
Yeah.
it only like worked out because honestly the wards didn't cover Lion rotation, and then what ends up happening is Lion actually TPs to the bottom lane, but that's because you're forcing, like, Lion's probably going to TP top if you do the same thing you're doing here top, right? Like that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to like attempt to counter gank. And if you go top and you have a ward here, your troll's not dying, and then you're forcing the Lion here, and then your troll's winning a 1v1, and your troll's going to have like a 14-minute Battle Fury phase or some shit. You know, like he's just going to be super farmed because nobody's touched him, and he's been in a favorable 1v1 for 14 minutes, right? Because in your bracket, even if the guy's like not incredibly efficient or like perfect at CSing or whatever, if he's supposed to have a 14-minute Battle Fury, maybe his will be like 16, but like he's going to be more favored than the Jug who you've been fucking with for the last, 4 or 5 minutes in a row. So these heroes like Troll and Lifestealer are really nice, Ursa, because the minute they get like ahead in lane, they're all strong laners, and the minute they get ahead, they're just like leave them alone and let them spend 5 to 10 minutes like ramping up in power because they're so independent and they're so strong like that. But like if you have a Drow carry, for instance, what's your job as a support with in regards to Drow? When are you allowed to leave Drow? What level
I don't
does
know.
Drow
Never.
become survivable in her own lane?
Oh, I don't know.
Never.
Never, yeah.
Okay, so how do Drow carry players generally play if they're
Like
good?
super passive.
Okay, but if they get level 6, what do they do with it?
I don't know. I don't know
What
what to
does
do
her
with it.
level 6 allow her to do?
Create like jungle faster.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if she's level 6, does she become any more survivable in lane?
No.
So if I'm
No.
a carry,
She
aren't I
goes into
fucking
jungle.
retard if I get level 6 on Drow and just sit in lane and ask my support to support me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
in order to lane, I need a support to help me. And in order to jungle, I don't need a support to help me. Right? So what kind of supports are good with Drow? Because when she hits 6, she's going to go jungle. So what do you need to do?
Like lane clearers.
Yeah, lane clearers, heroes that help defend the tower for as long as possible without the Drow helping, like wyverns and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like these type of decisions go into drafting at the highest level, like they do, right? They know the Drow's gonna leave at like 6 to 8 minutes into the lane, or however long it takes her to get 6, and ideally they have. It doesn't have to be the support that laned with her, but they have a support that takes over the lane because they know the Drow's gonna do that. But you don't want
Crazy
to.
how high level the thinking is. It's
Oh,
like
it's
stage upon stage upon, like it's not just the draft. It's like I'm only saying this on the fly after listening to you, but have little epiphany moments. But it is, it's like at this stage I'm gonna go do this, and then you're gonna go here. Like, and obviously like this is all like like a general plan. Like things don't work out
it's
that way,
it,
but
it, it always ends up happening, but it's just when it happens.
yeah, yeah.
That's like the understanding and skill that comes into
It's
like
so
playing at the
crazy
highest
that
level.
you'll make a draft and you'll make a plan, and then the enemy looks at your draft and goes, "This is what they're gonna do, and they're gonna want to do this at this time." Like, crazy,
Absolutely,
eh?
yeah. So like that's
Dang.
why like when I'm like casting a professional game, I often don't get too excited because a lot of it is incredibly predictable.
Yeah,
Like like
right.
maybe it happens at a different time, but like I know it's going to happen. So like the minute I like see the Drow get 6, like I know she's gonna jungle, and like I know she's gonna be playing here for like the next 5 minutes. So like when it comes to like looking for plays to happen, I'm not looking at the Drow. Like it's funny when you
So
see
what do
like a really
you
bad camera worker, you just know they were bad at Dota because
what do you watch to get your brain excited.
I mean, there's just like whenever people are playing heroes I don't fully understand, or like whenever they are like running a lineup I don't fully understand, or
Yeah,
like they make plays that like are just pushing the limits so ridiculously that I'm like, holy shit, like
yeah,
I would have
nice.
never done that. And the thing is, the better you get at Dota, the less and less that actually happens. Like I have to assume for somebody like Puppy, like they virtually never have that happen. Like
Yeah.
it still happens sometimes, like they get beaten because of unexpected, like they didn't expect something. But like,
Mm.
for me it happens probably a small, like 3 to 4% of games I'm watching. For Puppy, it's probably like 0.2% of games he's watching, he actually sees something
Yeah,
surprising,
wow.
or like he didn't think would happen or whatever.
That's why
Um,
you needed a break.
yeah, I mean, just for me, like, I mean, I'm not, like, I'm just saying that, like, the higher you go, the less and less percent of these games become like a shocker to you. But the point is,
Yeah.
right, is if you understand how your carry hero works, then you'll also understand why certain supports are picked in Pro Dota with that carry. You'll understand how those supports are supposed to play with that carry. And it's
Mm.
like these dynamics of this matchup, like if you know Troll, Lifestealer, Slark, I'm just laying examples, Ursa, all of these heroes, they want you to give them a good start, and then they want you to fuck off because they want to use their strong solo capabilities in order to win the solo. But then when they get contested, they want you to be there because they're strong. Like they want
Yep.
you to help them be contested, but they don't want you to force the contesting. Right? Like in this
Yeah.
case, you actually brought the contesting to the troll. If you see that,
Yeah,
right? You
nice.
saw that, right? Because by being here, you've brought the lion here. If you would gone top, the lion would have gone top. So it's just one of those
Yeah.
things where understanding how these heroes want to play will guide this part of your game, and that's something that you should watch a bit of professional Dota. That like you can literally just load up replays and just watch the 5 to 10 minute mark and start to assess the factors of like what the five position is doing in these games, and it's like a very efficient way for you to
Mm.
study this, and you can watch how certain carry heroes want to play. I would emphasize watching the five and watching the carry
Yep.
because you do need to understand the dynamic of what carries want you to do for them in order to play properly. So we're gonna fast forward a bit, but we've already said
I
like,
have been
go ahead.
I have been watching it like you said, but it is good because like without knowing like what you're telling me now, obviously I'd be watching them and I wouldn't even be considering these things, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I'd be like I when I watch them, I've been watching like what are the pull timings? Like when do they pull through against what matchups? Like when is it not good to pull through because they can get contested against,
and that's the stuff that's relevant for the first 5 to 8 minutes. That's no longer relevant
Mm,
anymore, right?
yeah, yeah. But I
So
just mean like it's good to get the coaching session because now I can actually, start to consider these things
yeah, I mean,
when I'm
this is
watching.
just my method of learning, right? But for me, when I was like really understanding, like basically at some point, I feel like the majority of players in my bracket, meaning like the tier 3-ish type players, they have this
Yeah,
moment epiphany where they realize how bad they are. You
yeah.
think you think you're really good.
I had it.
Yeah, it's just like you think you're really good because you're
Yeah,
like top 100 MMR, and you're like, holy shit, like I'm really good, like I must be really good. And then at
yeah,
some
yeah,
point, you realize that the only reason you think you're good is because of how ignorant you are. Like you actually just don't know anything. Like you literally know so little that you're just ignorant. Like that's it's so funny to me, but I feel like every player goes through that realization at some point.
mm,
And
yep,
so for me, like when I had that realization, this was like a year and a half ago or so, I basically was like, holy shit, relearn the entire game, like
yep,
ground up. I just did it from the 0 minute mark, and I feel like I'm at about the 15-20 minute mark still. That's about where I hit before I,
yep,
took a break or whatever.
yep,
So for me, like, it's not like I don't know anything past 20 minute mark or whatever, but I feel like I'm very refined in like the first 20 minutes of like anything that can happen in games. Like I'm like nothing really surprises me in Pro Dota anymore about like the first 20 minutes. Stuff past
yep.
the first 20 minutes, I'm like, whoa, like, they do stuff like I would have never considered.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, cool.
but that's why even somebody talked about it in the cast. I think I don't remember who it was. It was in the Dream League Major cast, but like they talked about how it's not a surprise that these tier 3, tier 2 teams can beat the tier 1 teams in the laning stage. Like they can beat them in the first like 10 to 15 minutes because they're similar to me where they like really understand at like a tier 1 level the first 10 or 15 minutes, but they
Yeah.
don't understand the rest of the game. Like,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
the number of possibilities that can happen at 15, 20 minutes into the game is like infinitely higher than the number of possibilities that can happen in the first 10.
Yeah.
Because,
Nice.
right, like the first, it's a matter of what's happened before it, right? And so in the
Yep.
laning stage, like the matchups are always the same, like the dynamics of
Mhm.
the matchups. But like
Mhm.
then when you get to the 15-minute mark, you have to consider how each lane went, who has what farm, like what
And what
towers are
items have been
dead,
built?
like
Yeah.
who's messed up and died, like that kind of stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
there's so many random factors that you then have to understand based on those factors, then what? And it's like,
Yeah.
but at this stage
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
game, there's nothing to do with what's actually happened in the game so far. It literally has to do with what the heroes are. Like, what do these heroes do?
Mhm.
So we're gonna fast forward a bit, but yeah, no, like, so that the point for me is we are going just chronologically in the order of the game, and this is for you as a support. The nice thing about supporting is there it really, until you're like professional level, you don't actually have to understand much past like the 20-25 minute mark. Like you can probably support all the way up to like 4 or 5 6k without actually knowing too much about
Yep.
the later stages of the game, because the only time that the later stages of the game truly matter is when um, all the other people are also doing this stuff correctly
Yeah.
every game,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they're also doing the other stuff correctly. Okay, so I think I'm kind of done with this game. Actually, I was watching the troll, but like I feel
Yep.
like you're just
I got another one.
at this point, like to be honest, you've pretty much removed your impact on the game, other than being a defensive ult, because of not
Mhm.
going to top lane. Like your job as support in the first like 10 to 15 minutes is just to establish momentum. You did the correct thing to give your troll an advantageous matchup. You gave him level 5 before the Legion 4. Everything leading up to that point was great. And now it's like continuing that momentum by doing the right decision with that first, maybe that like second rotation. So go ahead and ask a
Let me.
question if
Let me.
you have it.
Let me down. Let me down gently, BSJ. No.
Sorry. Sorry, dude.
I'm only kidding.
You literally
I'm
fucked
only
the entire game, by the way.
kidding. I'm only kidding. Yeah, I'll send you another one in Discord.
Yeah, somebody made a good point. They said if the decisions are easy, they can snowball it. The Pain game versus Liquid was like that. Yeah, the thing is, there are certain games where when you establish a lead, even at like 20, 25 minutes, your lineup is very straightforward to play. Like, you just have a Roche lineup that takes Roche and then walks high ground with some like really nice ultimate like Death Prophet or something. Like, it's a very straightforward lineup. You're just supposed to do that. But the majority of games are not like that, like at the professional level. So oftentimes you'll see these teams like there was one game Secret was losing like 17-2 in kills, and then they just win because they're just doing these little things over the course of time from 15 minutes to 30, where they just like climb back into the game and suddenly they win, and they were down 17-2 in kills, and it's just like, oh, okay, well that's because they're just better. Okay, so we're watching AA, right? That's what you are.
Yep.
Okay. I don't really like the pre-skill in general here. You never
Okay.
know what could happen. You're likely to skill
I
this.
started. Yeah, I started. I started not doing it, and then I'd sometimes cold feet like there sort of thing. But then I found like when I got into lane, like I couldn't do anything really, like for like
Without the third
2 minutes.
ability. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
That
I haven't
that's the
played
only.
AA since the rework on this chilling touch, so for all I
Yeah.
know, like this may 100% be correct. I just don't like the idea of leveling skills before
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
actually
No,
using them. Okay, so you have a Medusa. You're against Undying. Who's that other hero? Wraith King. I was like looking at the cosmetics, very weird cosmetics. So this is a pretty chill lane. Like you need to let your Medusa be survivable in the tower, but you don't really have much counterplay potential because your AA Medusa very squishy. So same idea here. You probably just want to push pull the lane. That's like the reason why we're push pulling the lane is pretty much to protect our Dusa from getting dove, and we don't really do much to help
like
her.
single pulling, you're saying, like single
Yeah,
pull
yeah.
and then
Like I
double
don't really
pull,
like
yeah,
stack pulling all that much in this lane, right? Because that's leaving my Medusa to get
under the
dove.
tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The single pulling's nice because the amount of time the creeps take to be gone is not enough to get dove. So like I actually don't like
Yeah.
this stack pull because this
Yeah.
is setting up what's happening to Medusa. Like in your bracket, not everyone's going to make use of it, right? But like they
Yeah. Yeah.
probably could have looked to dive the Medusa there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
there's not
I
much
get
as
you.
an AA that you can do. So whenever
I
I'm in
wrote
a,
a.
go ahead.
Oh, you go, and then I'm going to send you this thing. I wrote up a little. I wrote up
I was
something.
just gonna say that like it's important to consider like what the weaknesses of your heroes are, because all you have to do is account for your weaknesses and think to yourself, how can the opponent exploit that, and like let's avoid that happening, like
Hmm.
in any way possible. So like the only way they can punish your team is you're two squishy heroes and they're two melee heroes. So like they're gonna try to close the gap and dive you. So we
Yeah.
can never let the lane be out here, right?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
can't let the Medusa have like 8 creeps under her own tower, right? And we ended
I'll
up
send you.
letting that happen, but the opponents didn't capitalize. So that's still a mistake. Just the
Yep. Yep.
opponents didn't make use of it because you're in 2K. But that's the nice thing about it is the lower MMR you are, you're still trying to make the decisions that I'm telling you to make, but you're not always going to get punished if you mess up. So, what were you gonna say though?
I'm just being a bit of a geek. I wrote up this thing at like 3 a.m. one night because I said I've had so much focus on the laning stage
Yeah.
and
Oh, I see. This is
trying
a
to work
thing.
out. Yeah, trying. So I wrote up this flow chart of like when essentially I was trying to work out like when to single pull and when to double pull, and not talking about the equilibrium in the lane because obviously I know like if you want to bring it right back, double pull because obviously a single pull is going to push the lane. But I was essentially like trying to work out like when do you double pull, like, and when can you? And essentially, I think that's what it came down to. If you see at the top of my flow chart, it said like, can you contest them in lane? And it's like,
This is
if
a pretty
yes,
good flow chart. Yeah, this is good. It's basically a
is it sort
decision
of
tree.
okay?
Yeah, no, I think this is overall like this will encompass almost every scenario. So I'll
Yeah.
just pull it up for chat to actually I'll just how do I do this? I can copy paste it. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think that's pretty accurate. Does that?
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. Okay.
It was literally I'd been spending like 2 weeks thinking about this. I know it sounds so nerdy, but like, and then it was like 3 a.m. and I like just this random night I wasn't sleeping, and it just popped in my head, and I was like, I think I get it. Like,
Yeah,
and I wrote
so
this thing
it's
up.
literally I'll just read it out. It's just like if yes, like can you contest them in lane? If yes, harass zone them, and if possible, get kills. If no, pull. If that's actually correct. So do they have kill threat under tower? If yes, send double waves by single pulling. If no, then pull through. I guess we talked about this last time. Is what I'm guessing, because this is pretty much how
Well,
we just. Go ahead.
yeah, you didn't go through it like this, but I was asking, I was asking you when can you double pull, and you were saying like I had a bristleback against me in lane, and you said don't double pull against the bristleback because he can contest you, and that was like a part of the puzzle. You know what I
Okay,
mean? Of
yeah,
my yeah,
absolutely. And then you said like yeah, so then you said like if they can contest the pull, then first stack the easy camp once or even twice, then pull to deny all the creeps. If they can contest the stacked easy camp, then at least your carry has free farm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of stuff where those are the important considerations. Like, what do they do? What can they make use of from your pull? Like, what does your pull expose you to? And then, like, what can they do in regards to the pull? So that's like pretty much what it comes down to, and it really is that simple. It's in terms of like those are the questions you have to ask. The understanding part
yeah,
comes in with like understanding the dynamic of every matchup. You know.
yeah, cool.
I don't like that smoke to ward, by the way. I just don't like it. I think you should get out of the habit of it.
All right,
I think you should just
I
focus
will.
on, like in this game, I look at your lineup. What heroes
So
make
how
plays? What heroes make
should
plays on
I?
your team?
Let me have a look. I'll lean forward. It's small on my screen. Where am I? I'm AA on my team. So Pudge
You have a safe lane
and
Medusa, a Pudge, Mars, and Storm mid.
yeah. So the Pudge and like the Mars if he's ganking side lanes.
And then who else?
Well, the Mars
Well,
if
maybe
he
Storm. You make plays, right?
is that what I said? Storm?
Oh, I thought you said Mars. I thought you said Mars and Pudge. I didn't hear Storm. Sorry, I
No,
maybe.
sorry, I said Pudge and Storm,
Okay,
and
sorry.
then maybe Mars.
Okay.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, so I'd
Just
say
don't do it again, mate.
yeah, yeah. So for Mars and Storm, like are these heroes that counter gank or gank?
For who? For Storm and
Storm and
Mars?
Mars, yeah.
I'd think Storm is like a ganker, not a counter ganker.
Yeah,
Um,
he can if
and
they're like
Mars
diving
as
tower,
well.
but generally
Yeah,
speaking, he's a hero that's like kind of farming, and you just like go
yeah.
to
They
him
want to make the play.
and kill somebody, right? Like he just like while he's farming, you just show up in his lane and kill somebody and then leave, like kind of like what you're doing here. Even if you don't kill him, but it's like, you know, that's
Yeah,
kind of the general idea. Is
yeah.
Medusa? What is Medusa? What's your role in regards to Medusa?
I just think I'm just protecting her
Yeah,
until
you're just making sure she
yeah,
doesn't die. So the
Oh,
same
yeah,
idea, like this Pudge is 2K, right? He should never go to this fucking Medusa's lane. He just
yeah,
shouldn't, because
yeah,
why, right? Like why would he go to
yeah.
Medusa's lane?
Just
Um,
on the smoke ward, if I can, just quickly before
yeah,
we move on. Is it the smoke that you don't like, or the warding?
it's the smoke.
Going.
It's the smoke I don't like. I don't think
Okay.
you should
Okay.
smoke for those wards. It's kind of like a baby thing, where in terms of the sense that like you're babying yourself in the sense that you know they don't see you, but you should learn when they see you or not, and not have to smoke to
Okay. Cool.
ward.
Cool.
Does
Cool.
that make
Yeah.
sense?
So
You're
just
like
use.
guaranteeing they
Yeah.
don't
Just
see
use
you,
the
but
fog
that's
of
not a
war.
luxury you get at like the high level to
Yep.
just smoke
Okay.
casually for a ward like that. Because smokes at the high level are like incredibly valuable.
Yep. Okay.
So we don't want to give yourself handicaps that will help you at this level. Like I don't think it's actually bad at this level, but
I
you're
get
gonna
you.
like
Yeah.
become
You
reliant
might as well
upon
start
smoking
learning
for
it now
wards,
for the
and
future.
then when you're like higher level, you're gonna want to smoke for wards, and it's actually gonna be bad. So,
Yep. 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 I
okay.
get you. That's good to know.
So this
I
is
thought it was
just,
the ward that you didn't like for a
yeah, no,
second.
it's not the warding. It's like the aspect that you're just smoking in order to ward. There are games where you're supposed to smoke to ward, but I'm based on what I've heard and what I've seen, you're doing it every game, which is not good. So this is kind of just a result of your pudge. I don't think there's much else to say. I feel like you as an AA couldn't really do anything about that, to be
Sort of
honest.
like the last game you're saying, like the Pudge coming down is forcing
It's the
more
same
people
thing as what
down.
you did for the troll,
Yeah.
yeah. But in this case, Medusa's like the fragile hero. So
Yeah.
instead of having it be like an even trade, it's like you guys fucking feeding because
Yeah.
they're stronger than you. So I agree that you can't really leave this Medusa. So in this case, pulling and shit is actually correct, because if you ask yourself what happens if you leave this lane, your Medusa is just gonna fucking feed. So I think this is correct to like help her keep the lane equilibrium underneath her tower, while pulling to make sure when it's pushed out like this that she's safe. So this is all good. Let me rewind here. So you kind of just saw this coming. I think this is just you potatoing.
Mhm.
Like you saw the Wraith King walking here, and you saw Dazzle. So I think everything you're doing is fine. You just need to like have better map awareness while you're doing it. That's really all there is to
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So if you're considering whether or not they're able to contest you, you also need to consider like if they can just fucking kill me. And like,
Yep.
so what I'm thinking is in my mind, like, how do they kill me? And the only way they kill me is Wraith King stun. So I'm always paying attention to Wraith King. Like, yeah, I'm like looking for Dazzle, but like I'm in the back of my mind, I'm looking for this color on the mini map, right? Like that's what I'm gonna do.
Yep.
And so the minute I see this, I know I have to back off.
Yep.
But then you stick around and run into a Wraith King and die. So
Yep.
just obviously chopped up better map awareness, but if the map awareness comes down to you knowing what they need to kill you, like if Dazzle's the only one walking over, yeah, you should play a bit passive, but you don't need to like run, you know.
Run away. Yep.
So you need to think to yourself like what will make you have to run rather than just play passive. So the problem with this game that I'm seeing really is that, it's a lot on your Pudge in this game, just because he was against a Razor top with a Mars, so they kind of had a shitty lane. And so now you guys are trying to make a play to your Medusa lane. I think this is just a poor draft overall. Like, it makes it really hard to play this stage of the game because you have an unfavorable offlane matchup and you have an incredibly passive safe laner. So when your offlane loses, there's like really no way to make any plays, and you're basically just sitting defensive. So all you're trying to do in a game like this is you literally look at the map and you say, can't make a play on Razor, can't make a play, like maybe could make a play on mid, but other than that, like my Medusa is always a threat. So we're pretty much babysitting Medusa, and if we see opportunities to make plays elsewhere, we will. But
And trying to get my
you're kind of just trying to
get my
stem the
ulti.
bleeding while you're trying to get your ult. But like this is the problem, right? Is because of all the earlier
Yeah.
feeding, there's really nothing you as an AA can do to prevent this. But actually, this trade overall is really good for you guys. Both safe laners dying because Razor was really farmed. Okay, so now you guys are counter ganking the aggression, which I think is okay because like you guys have your shit. In this game, even though Storm's not exactly, Storm is a decent counter ganker like at this stage in the game because he's kind of gotten past like the first couple items usually. But like in the early game, he usually doesn't want to leave mid. But like at this stage in the game, if they dive like that, Storm's perfectly fine to like TPN and help you guys. But like up until this point, I don't really think you've done anything unreasonable. I just feel like this is your natural
Mm-hmm.
way you
It
want to
is.
play, and in this game it was correct. So
Yep.
like if I had only watched this game, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, this is what you're supposed to do. But like you also did that in the other game,
Yeah.
right? Where it
Yeah.
wasn't what you were supposed to do. So and AA is much more of this type of hero in regards to like your six is really important and you should look to do whatever you can to accelerate that six. Not only because your six is really important, but AA generally speaking doesn't really do anything. Like
Mhm.
you know, in the first 5 levels, he doesn't actually do anything.
Yep.
So you do get the was that you dewarding or Pudge?
I do. But yeah.
Let me Okay, so you TP in, but that was Pudge dewarding. Okay. So this is something I'd be a little bit scared of to TP and to the tier 1 like that if we haven't dewarded, but I think since you saw 3 top, like you don't really have to help the Medusa anymore. So this is a good case of like this is a good time to leave your lane. Generally speaking here, you had to leave your lane pretty late, so by the time you got here, the enemy team probably has control. So I'm not just saying this because I saw a ward, but like in general, I think this D ward is really good, and I think any ward that encompasses this area or like a sentry is like really important because now that I'm top, the 2 places I'm generally going to be playing are here and like here as a support. Like those 2 areas like open up me rotating, right? Because my way out of top is here or here, right? So we need to make sure to the best of our capabilities that they don't see us doing that, right? Because if I'm a support and I TP top, my only way to go is here and here. So you already dewarded here, and 99% of the time the opponent's not going to ward like right here, right? Like they're why would they like if they're gonna ward here, then so be it. Like that's a really big waste of a ward. They're gonna ward
Mate, it's the
somewhere
only place they
like right here,
would.
like right.
In
That's
2K.
that's where they're gonna
Yeah.
ward. So I'll just place a
Yeah.
sentry like right here, and
Yep.
it's just a matter of security, knowing that if I want to walk into their jungle, that they don't have 10 seconds of watching me walk into their jungle in order to decide to kill me, right?
Yep.
It's much harder for them to make the decision if they don't know exactly where you are. But if they see you walking through a ward, they're just gonna fucking kill you, right? So that's really important, and it also helps you like occupy the lane for XP and stuff, and it maybe even helps you walk into the side and set up a kill. But if you don't know if they have vision or not here and here, it like limits your plays heavily, right? Because they know what you're
Really.
doing, and if you make a play, you really have no idea whether or not they know what you're doing. And that's like a really important thing to like understand. Like, you know, if they are playing safe, is it because they know I'm there and they're like setting up on me, or is it because they don't know where I am so they're scared of me? But like if you know kind of if they see you or not, that's like a big tell of what they're actually doing, right? Because they could just be baiting you, they could just be playing passively, but knowing why they're doing what they're doing based on what they know is like that's where the vision comes into play here. So kind of an awkward game, definitely just a game where you guys have literally no plays to make. But when you have no plays to make, I generally say this is the area to play. You're behind and you have no map control. This is where you're going to end up like 90% of games. If you're dire, it's going to be here. Almost always. Like there's exceptions, right? But this is generally speaking what happens. So noticing that trend is really important. At this stage, it's really important to basically give up bottom lane because you can't do all of everything. If you guys try to defend bottom and make a play, you're just going to feed. So the best thing to do is to make play on the map that you're supposed to make. You make that play, get forced rotations. The Medusa kind of fucked up by TPing here. If he was a good player, he would never TP here. Meaning like he would have walked right here. So what ends up happening is he knows he's supposed to be on this part of the map. But what's the only way he's ever going back bottom?
Mm. If the, I don't know if the
If the
what
opponent's forced to
stops.
be here, right?
Yeah.
And what's the opponent have to do to get to here?
I know lane gets pushed out.
They have to TP, right?
Yeah.
So what's your Medusa supposed to do if they TP here?
Yeah.
Answer? No?
Oh, like what's the Medusa meant to do if they TP'd?
Yeah.
Just keep
Why
just
does
keep
she leave
farming,
bottom?
just in case they.
She didn't want to like fight them, right?
Yeah.
So what's she need to do if they go top?
Push the lane out.
Go bottom. Like
Yeah.
she left bottom to avoid fighting. So if she leaves bottom, okay, here's how it works for a carry. Like, I'm giving you the carry explanation of somebody who's not 2K. If I don't want to be bottom anymore, when's the only time I can go back bottom? Well, when the enemy leaves bottom. So if my team is going to force them to
Oh
leave
yeah.
bottom, then I need to go back bottom. So the thing I can't do as a carry that's trying to avoid fighting is TPing to the one place on the map that you guys have to make plays, because now she's just glued with you here. And you guys making
When does the carry want to like? We have this because I play with a stack sometimes of my mates, and like when like I know this is one of those like depending on the matchup and depend, but like you were sort of like Medusa doesn't want to be there. Medusa wants to be farming. Like do the carries want to be in fights at some times at some points like within from the 15-minute mark to the half an hour mark sort of
I mean,
thing?
pretty much for carries, why do you think they fight? Would they rather be farming or fighting?
Farming.
Okay, so why do they go to fights?
I don't know, to give it numbers advantage.
Because they have
Like,
to.
yeah,
Meaning either they can't farm because they don't have space to farm, or the action that's required in order to open up space on the map, say take this tower, is their assistance is needed in order to take that.
yeah,
So like as a carry player, my job is to understand what my contribution to fights are and out like weighing that option against me farming. So where are my options to farm and what is my contribution to fights? So like right now, I would say Medusa is pretty fucking useless in fights. Am I wrong?
no, I wouldn't really
Like
know, but probably
she's
off the
like she's
items.
like an ult and she has a morbid mass and like a couple
Yeah,
wraith bands, right? Like
yeah,
maybe okay, so does Medusa offer any catch?
no.
So
I'd like the old, but yeah.
okay, that catches people? Like she's gonna gank people with her ult? That's what catches. Like catching is, you know,
Oh no,
catching
no, no,
people out of
no.
position. So she doesn't have any
Yeah, no,
catch, right? So
no, no.
when is Medusa gonna be in fights?
When
They go to her,
other
right?
people,
Her ult is a
yeah,
counter
okay,
initiation. So her only time she's gonna be in a fight is if she's there ahead of time to counter, like because she's like a frontliner that the opponent goes on and
yeah,
you
okay,
counterplay, right? So with
right.
Medusa, like the point of this hero though is she really never wants to fight. So when would Medusa be at fights? If
I
she's a
guess.
counter initiation hero that's like meant to be the frontliner.
Mm,
When your team needs to defend a tower and they need the Medusa to be the frontliner, like that's when she'll be at fights, and that's the only time she should ever be at fights, right? Like, because
yeah,
that's her contribution to the fight. So you'll see these
right.
like Medusas in Pro Dota, like you'll see them active in like 4 fights pre 15 minutes, but all the fights are around their mid tower where the opponent's like running at them, and they're just like, well, it's my job to defend this tower, so I don't really want to fight, but like I'm here and I'm farming it. And if I don't farm mid, where am I farming? Nowhere. Okay, so if the area I'm supposed to farm is mid, and it's my job to like be defensive, and the opponent's invading the mid area, I'm gonna be fighting, like because I
Mm,
understand like my hero's contribution and like role in the game. But like right
yeah.
now, should Medusa ever be at like an aggressive push with these items?
Should she be what?
At an aggressive push, like pushing with you guys with these items?
No, not of what you're
No.
saying.
No, right? Like there are games where Medusa will be in a push where she had like a good start and she has like Dragonlance, but like this is not that kind of game. So like my point is, what's the point of making a play up here? Are you guys making a counterplay?
At this point, um,
Where
I
do
can't
counterplays
remember.
happen? 99%
Like
of games.
under our towers.
We talked about this in the first game.
Yeah,
Plays, counterplays. Dead lane,
yeah, yeah,
their dead lane. Plays,
yeah.
counterplays, right? So where's Medusa going to be on the map?
On the
Here.
bottom half of the map.
When
Yeah.
is she not going to be here?
If they're pushing
If she's
the
like
tower.
threatened and your team doesn't want to help her, right?
Yeah.
So if the opponent goes top, where's the last place Medusa should ever be?
What's that?
If Medusa's job is to play this area, but she's only not playing here because she's scared, if the
Yeah.
opponent is top, where's the last place she should be?
Top.
Top.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she can't TP top. Like she's not allowed to TP top because if she TPs top and the opponent goes top, where the fuck does she go? She's allowed to
True,
TP
true.
bottom because that's where she wants to be. Like, but she's only going to be there if she feels okay to be there. Like, if I'm a Jug and I want to aggressively make a tower push, I will TP here. But if I'm a Jug and I'm not like a defensive type of hero, I'm not allowed to TP to the defensive part of the map because that is not what my hero does. Like, because if I TP here and I'm not a defensive hero and the opponent shows up, what am I doing?
Just farming.
I'm not doing anything. I'm running. How can I farm? I'm not a defensive hero. I can't defend the tower. So I'm in an area where the only way I can farm would be to defend the tower, but I'm not a defend the tower hero. So that's what ends up happening if I'm the Jug and I TP here into 4 heroes and I see 4 heroes, I get to do this. Isn't that what Medusa has to do by TPing here, is like walk all the way back here? Because this is her home, right? Like, this is what she wants to do. She wants to defend towers. So the way I look at a Medusa hero is she's allowed to TP to these lanes if they're perfectly safe. And she's allowed to TP here for a counterplay, because that's what her hero does. And if I'm a Jug, I'm allowed to play defensively and then TP aggressively. But I can't TP defensively.
Yeah.
I know that's like actually a really high level concept, so I'm not like trying to like insult you by saying duh, but like, do you see how like that really does make sense though, right? Like, you can't TP to somewhere that is not your job. Because the only reason you go places that aren't like quote unquote your job is to just like clear the wave really quick or something. Like, you're just getting a little bit of farm and then you're ready to leave. Yep. But if a place is not like what your hero does, you should not be there by default. You should be willing to walk there quickly and clear it, but you should have an idea of like what part of the map your hero wants to play on. So like with Terrorblade, for instance, Terrorblade's a natural reaction is to want to push towers, right? So there's some times where Terrorblades will be jungling here and sending an illusion to defend this. But you will literally never see a Terrorblade in professional Dota, like in 99% of games, TP from here to here, unless they forced all 5 heroes on the enemy team to this area. Like, they'll just never TP to their own safe lane, because that's just not what Terrorblades do. But you'll see, like, Underlords and shit TP to their own safe lane. You'll see Wyverns TP to their own safe lane. Why? Because it's their job to defend towers, right? Like, that's what they do. But, like, Terrorblade is not a defend tower hero. There are games where, like, he can send illusions to defend the tower. But if he TPs to that tower and the opponents are good, what are they going to do? Like, if the Terrorblade TPs here and the opponents are good, what are they going to do? 2 here, 2 here, right? Like, they're just going to cut him off and he's pinned and he's a Terrorblade. What does he do? Like, he's just stuck underneath his own tower and he wants to farm, right? If I'm a good player and I see a hero that's not supposed to defend towers, TPing to defend a tower, what's stopping me from just running 4 heroes at that guy? Like, and then his team has to help him, but then he's not a hero that's supposed to do that, so you're not really helping him because you can't help him? Like, do you see how, like, in this case, like, Medusa, like, there's not much you guys can do to help her. So by TPing to their lane, what's the best play for the opponent? Like, if you can't really help the Medusa under her own tower, but you two are both sitting underneath her tower, what's the best play for the opponent? It's to just fucking dive and kill you guys. Right? Like, so if I'm like, Medusa's a sit under tower passively hero, what's my 2 choices? My 2 choices are to directly help her, because I think we can, meaning just sit behind her and help her, or make it so something else happens elsewhere, so she doesn't have to get dove. Like, and if I say, like, it's the same thing as pulling, in the sense that, like, can I contest the lane? No. Okay, I'm indirectly forcing them away from the lane by pulling. Can I help this Medusa defend this tower? No. Well, then stop being with the Medusa underneath the tower. I'm talking about, like, the Pudge in this case. Like, for you, there's nothing else to do at 6 minutes into the game. But you guys literally lost this laning stage horribly because your Pudge came bottom. And so, like, the goal for you is, the problem with Dota is you have a solo rank, right? Like, but there are some games that no matter how well you play, because of how bad your teammates play, you cannot win, right? So, like, I look at this game and I say, I'm not saying you can't win the game, but I'm saying you could not have won the laning stage because of your teammates. Like, you actually could not have won the laning stage because you needed to not have a shitty offlane combo and you needed to not have the Pudge come bottom. And all of that happened. So You guys lost the laning stage, and there was really nothing you could do about it. So like when I'm looking at this Medusa who like TP's top, he's like in a position that he sets up the opponent to make a good play. So what I'm telling you as a support is it's your job to never set up the opponent to make a good play. You did that in the Oracle game. Like you just showed up in the lane you weren't supposed to be in, right? Like and then the opponent makes a good play off of it. It's like this is just a situation now where the reason why I went into this whole discussion about Medusa is every hero has a way they want to play. And it's the same every single game, meaning like in Medusa's, if a normal game happens, meaning like nothing special is happening, everybody's even, everyone's just hitting creeps, in 100% of pro Dota matches, a Medusa will be here. In 100% of the time, if it is a normal game, that is where Medusa will be, right? The only time there's exceptions is when the opponent heroes force those exceptions. So in this case, like if I know I want to play here, but I'm a Medusa, and the opponent like scares me, I'm gonna like walk away. But then the minute they're no longer scaring me, I'm gonna go back. Whether that's based on them leaving, whether that's based on me having enough teammates behind me to help, whether that's based on me getting an item that allows me to do that, like or whatever, like all the factors that could possibly go into that. But like as a support, like when I tell you like you want your carries to fight with you, please for the love of God, don't push a tower and call for your Medusa to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to push a tower, by all means call for your Jug to help you. Like that's an important understanding. Like you need to know what carries do that, right? So like because there's times where like I'll have supports demanding stuff of me, like these like rank 1000 supports, and I'm like, no, that's not what my hero does. Like, why are you telling me to do that? Like, I don't do that. So, like, as a support, the best thing you can do is have like a general understanding. You don't have to know perfectly. You shouldn't have to know that this Medusa doesn't TP here. Like that stuff can happen later. But like, you should not be calling your carries to like push towers when they're not a carry, when they're not a tower pusher. You should not be like this pudge that goes to the lane of the person that does not want people in their lane. You should not be the oracle that goes to the troll that's in a favorable 1v1. You should not be leaving the Wind Ranger against Jug when Wind Ranger has like immense, kill threat on this Jug. You should not be smoking without the pudge who wants to be ganking with you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like these are all things that are based on what your heroes do. And the only reason I'm going on these like ridiculous tangent about what these heroes do is because it actually guides your decisions, right? So like my question for you is the reason why I went into this whole thing at the end of the day for this exact scenario is do you guys want to fight here?
Up there. Yeah. Yep. You just
Your
cut out.
carry that wants to farm wants to passively farm. Do you want
Yeah.
your carry to aggressively push this tower?
No,
Do
I
you
don't want
want
to
to
carry there.
4v5 them?
No.
No. So do you want to fight here?
No. Not if
No.
there's 5 there.
So the minute you see this, you need to know
Yep.
like somebody go bottom, somebody go mid. So what
Yep.
I basically talked about in my last couple coaching sessions is when the opponent groups up, what is your team's choice? You have two choices when the opponent groups up.
When the opponent groups up, I don't know, to try and counter initiate or
It's
like
either
just
fight them as one. That
yep.
that that is one of them is to fight them. What's the other?
Or to like split push and
Split push and
like
push lanes.
yep.
So in this moment, we ask ourselves, do we want to fight? Answer is no. So what should immediately happen in the next 10 seconds?
So pushing lanes.
Somebody pushes mid and somebody pushes bottom, right?
Yeah.
So, and the remainder of you can maybe linger around top underneath your ward, potentially trying to like stall this push, right?
Yep.
How is that decision any different than pulling in a lane? One of them solves the problem directly. The other one solves it indirectly. In the lane, can we contest them? No, we pull.
Yeah, true.
It's the exact same decision. But in the laning stage, it's a 2v2. Right now, it's understanding where your teammates need to play on the map and gauging a 4v5. Right?
Yep.
Like,
So that's
is that not
can
the
we fight them?
exact same
Flowchart.
decision?
Yep.
But at 16 minutes, much more complicated? right?
Yeah.
Like it's much more complicated at this moment. Like I asked you if you wanted to fight, and you said yes, but like I gave you a very detailed reason of why you're not supposed to fight here, and that's something for me
Yeah.
like
I
at
thought
the
you were
highest.
just saying, do we want to fight on that part of the map? I didn't know you were saying like with those five
Oh yeah,
heroes at
yeah, yeah.
the
Okay.
exact time at this second of the map.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like
Sorry, I
in
just
this case,
misunderstood.
if you guys don't want to fight them directly, these lanes should get pushed immediately. But
Hmm.
instead, like the opponent actually disperses. Everyone's just playing bad. I mean, that's just bad. Both teams did a really bad thing there, but it's fine. So like the fact that neither of these lanes is getting pushed is real sad. That the opponent shows 5 heroes top and you proceed to lose your mid tower. But that's just because your opponents don't or your teammates don't understand like split pushing and lane pressure and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. Generally in
Yeah.
supporting, I like to pick heroes that do clear waves.
Yeah, you told me that last time. I
Yeah,
remember
like I
you
do
said like
like to
you like
pick the
Dazzle.
Dazzles. Like Dazzle's kind of fallen off, but like Jakiro's is not necessarily that popular either. But like I've seen a decent amount of Wyvern picks, like these type
Yeah.
of heroes that just clear the waves. And now you're like awkwardly counterplaying them bottom. If you guys are gonna counterplay, what's the main hero that's gonna be there?
Medusa.
Okay, like that's how I look at it. Like yeah, if they're going nuts and your team's fighting, maybe you just have to show up. But like I would think I'm mainly looking to counterplay around Medusa. But at this point in the game, you really have nothing else to do. And the thing about this, the problem with me like coaching the stage in the game now, is a lot of what you do is dictating upon what part of the map your cores are playing on.
Mhm.
And if they're playing the wrong parts of the map, it's like just a shit show. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone's just fucking like Medusa should be here while Storm should be like up here and
Hmm.
Mars should be like in the mid lane or like something. And instead it's like Medusa's here, Mars is here, Storm, like so it's
All
really
backward.
hard for me to coach anything because everyone's just all over the place. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
yeah, so when it comes down to supporting, we've talked a lot about, and I go on my ridiculous tangent. I'm a little bit late for my next session, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Um,
Sweet dude.
but basically, like, focus on all the factors we talked about from 5 to 15 minutes, and that first rotation, understanding those lane matchups. That's something you can study pretty easily. It's very clear that you did the homework and you did the necessary work to clean up your first 5 minutes. Now it's just a little more complicated, different
Mhm.
factors to consider for the next 5 to 10 minutes of the game. And that's
Yeah.
like, as a support, it becomes pretty clean. Like, if you noticed in the first 5 minutes when you asked yourself the right questions, it actually seems pretty straightforward, right?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe it took you a little while. It doesn't happen like, overnight. Like, it's not like one game later, you're like, oh, now that I'm asking all the right questions, I'm just pulling at all the right times and, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But it's like, if you do that same rotation for Troll next time and you have a fight come down here and it like breaks out and poorly, maybe you can be like, oh yeah, I remember this. Like it's something similar to that situation we talked about in the session. So
I
that's
think I'll
what.
definitely be making another flowchart,
Yeah,
and my
yeah.
flowchart will be like where should I be? I don't know what I'm
I
gonna
think
label it.
flowcharts are
You know what
really
I mean?
good in the sense that it teaches you to ask yourself the right questions. Once you're asking
Yeah.
yourself the questions, I think sticking to a flowchart can kind of limit you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But
yeah.
it was more just
Yeah, I'm just
joking
saying it is a
about it.
good short term thing to remind yourself to ask the right
Yeah.
things, but then just
Yeah.
make
And then
sure
it
like
just becomes natural, like
something I've
thinking
done
on the
is
fly.
like it's something I've done that's bad is like kind of like try to over analyze stuff. So like eventually when you start asking yourself the right questions, you'll kind of get that like you said like that feel, that natural like play
Yeah.
by your understanding of these questions and instead of rather having to think about the questions in depth every game, you're kind of just like okay, I know what my options are and decide
Yeah.
accordingly. Like,
Yeah.
just go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
right on, man. I
I get it.
appreciate you signing up and I wish you best of luck. So, it
All
was
good.
fun.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks,
See you later,
BJ.
man. Yeah, have a good
Catch
one.
you, my dude.